Welcome to the Explore Eagle podcast, the City of Eagles podcast with the same name as our app, Explore Eagle. Hi, I'm Mayor Jason Pierce. People often ask me, what does Eagle's motto, Life Done Right, mean? In each episode, we will talk with the city leaders, staff, business owners, and residents to explore the many ways Eagle is life done right. Welcome everybody to another episode of Explore Eagle. Today we're speaking with Helen Russell, who is one of our city council members. And so the first question for the day is tell us a little bit about yourself, so a little bit about your family and kind of,
Sure, Mayor Pierce, thank you for having me here today. I'm married to my husband, Jeff, and we also have in town an adult daughter and two teenage grandchildren. They moved here about a year and a half after we did, and my husband is, or was, when he worked, we're both retired, a heavy highway construction engineer. So I've been involved in the construction industry for quite some time. My daughter teaches second grade here in Eagle, and my oldest granddaughter is actually driving now, so that gives me a little bit of worry sometimes. They're both honors students, and one is going to be going off to college next year, and I just love having them here and being a grandmother to them.
Okay. So what kind of brought you? Why did you choose Eagle?
Well, it started back actually in 2006. My husband and I were researching where we were going to move upon retirement. We knew we were leaving California. We read retirement magazines, where to go, and actually my husband had attended Idaho State University in Pocatello back in the 70s. He loves to hunt and fish, and so we also knew we didn't want to be too far away from California. So we decided to take a week-long trip and drove to the Boise area. Did a lot of research and made multiple trips after that. The final trip where we actually decided it was going to be Eagle, we went to an open house in Lexington Hills, and this was in about 2013, and we said, Eagle is just something special. Love the aesthetics, the open green spaces, the creeks, and all of that, and just the hometown community feel. So that's how we chose Eagle.
Before coming a council member, you obviously had a profession before that. So what did you do before that professional?
Yes, for decades I was a human resource manager for Caterpillar. Again, dealing with the construction industry, and we had multiple locations. I managed about 640 employees and did everything in HR, including payroll, workers' comp, and training and so forth. Then when my daughter had my first grandchild, I decided to leave the corporate world and become an independent contractor for Sage Software. So then I was able to work my own hours and spend time with my granddaughter and her family, and did payroll and software implementation for clients. And then when I moved here, obviously I was retired along with my husband, and that was my professional career.
So obviously picking a city and moving there is one thing. Mm-hmm. Deciding to run to be on city council and get involved in the community the way you have. I mean, it takes a lot of time and effort. Mm-hmm. It's not something that, you just sit back and show up on Tuesdays once in a while and right. Discuss things in front of the public. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. Mm-hmm. What kind of made you decide that you wanted to run for office?
Well, after spending the first few years here, getting my home together and helping my daughter's family relocate, I started paying attention to some of the things that were going on in the city. And there were some decisions being made about what I thought were too high of density development, some financial issues where I didn't think the city should be spending money on certain things. So I began to watch city council meetings and attend, and did that for a couple of years. And then when it was time for the last two city council members, when their terms were up, I wanted to give back to the community and felt that I had learned enough to sort of have a good handle on what I needed to do to help the city.
That's one of the things I noticed about you is you were attending meetings, you were coming to things, you were kind of reading up and finding out what was happening and how it
Yeah.
works.
Right.
And I thought that was important because I've seen, I've been here 20 years, and, seeing different people run for office, and just because they think they know what's going on, right? They can usually touch on a hot button,
Right.
but then they don't know how to fix it or do something with it once they get in there. And you were able to kind of come in and hit the ground running, which I thought was impressive.
Yeah. It obviously is more of a full-time job than a part-time job, so I'm thankful that I am retired. I give my hats off to Melissa and Charlie, who also run their own small business. But I loved learning how the city operates, the various steps involved in development, in our budgeting process. I just love taking it all in and being able to help.
So what's one of the parts about Eagle City government that you wish everybody understood?
Oh, only one, huh? I think probably the development process and the rights that a landowner has. Also, what the city provides in our comprehensive plan and our zoning regulations that really guide the council and the mayor on what we can and cannot approve, and at some point I'd love to see maybe an online class about our comprehensive plan. What does it do to the city, and has everyone read it? And but that's one thing that I would like our public to understand a little bit better.
Well, yeah, because we're so regulated by the comprehensive plan, but that's state law, right? Regulations, all those things of what
Right.
private property rights,
Right.
Which are a huge thing. And those private property rights go back to not only the developer, but the person who sold it and can sell it for the amount of money that farmed it for years.
Exactly.
So it's
Right.
kind of an interesting dynamic.
Right, and also learning that, a lot of the farmland that we see around town has actually been sold to developers years ago.
Right.
It's just been in the works, and as obviously demand for housing here in Eagle, with our population growth, developers are now going to want to develop that property.
Right. And I think our goal, which is what we work so hard at, is making sure that it stays, I always say Eagle's way,
Right,
right? We don't want to be Boise, we don't want to be Meridian, and we got to make sure that it will get developed, but at least it needs to be done in a way that complements what Eagle does.
exactly.
What's the hardest part about being a council member?
I would say that I no longer have time to read for leisure.
The comprehensive plan
The
and all those
comprehensive
documents
plan,
are
the,
leisure?
yeah, right. But for me, the hardest part for being a city council member is probably, I would say, because I was retired, I now have to look at my calendar. I can't just spontaneously go somewhere. So having a heavy calendar, the various meetings in addition to city council meetings, whether it's budgeting, capital improvement plan, capital maintenance plan, it's a lot, but I enjoy it, and I love the research with the packet every meeting. Keeping up with that is probably the hardest part, I would say.
So what's the best part?
The best part is being able to give back to my community. As I mentioned previously, I chose, or my family chose Eagle for a reason, for the aesthetics, for the small town feel, for the community events that we have, and you just look around at the design that our city has, and you can tell it's something special, and just being able to help maintain that and help through our decisions with development, keeping that density down on the lower end of what's allowed.
Right. While serving as a council member, what comes kind of milestone or accomplishment that you would like to complete?
Milestone or accomplishment. I think I would say that being involved with the capital improvement plan and capital maintenance plan and seeing that continue to be a part of our city's process. For me, looking back years ago when things were not as transparent, it was frustrating as a resident when I was on the resident side attending meetings and not having a clear understanding of where our funds were being allocated and if the budget needed to be amended, things like that. So being a part of maintaining that process, which is a huge process that the city goes through, to help fund new projects and then also to help maintain what we have. I think it's critical that we continue to do that, and I want to see that continue.
Yeah, that's something that's not easy.
No, it's not.
Very time consuming.
Mhm.
You know, that's one of those things where, you know, you're not just showing up on Tuesdays and
Right.
and being there. But
And the amount of staff work involved in that as well is just tremendous, and I just appreciate the fact that that's something that you, Mayor Pierce, have brought into the city so that we can be transparent with our spending and what does it cost to maintain our splash pads, you know? Do we want to add more splash pads? If we do, we need to understand how expensive they are to maintain and just things like that we've never had any idea as a resident before.
Right.
So,
what are you excited about that's coming up in Eagle?
coming up in Eagle, I would say many of the new commercial projects that are getting started, it seems like more and more companies are willing to take the shovel and start their business here, which is, as we all know, is a big component of our funding. And so I'm looking forward to some of the new restaurants and other opportunities for employment here in Eagle. I think it's important to be able to offer that to our citizens, those that can live and work in the same town.
Yeah. And you know, it's tough because we really try to cater towards more of the mom and pop shops, which are more difficult to get going. So when you see that happening, you feel like you've kind of created a cool environment for them to foster. Our motto is life done right. What does that mean to you living in Eagle?
Well, to me it means, again, maintaining Eagle in the vision of what attracted the residents to Eagle. The green open space, the low density, being fiscally responsible, building community. We may grow as a city, which we obviously are doing and have done since most of us have moved here, but maintaining a community feel and just caring for one another. To me, that's life done right.
So what are some of the events that you look forward to every year that you like that we do? I mean, you know, when we talk about fiscal responsibility and local government, you know, those things cost money.
Right.
But there's a reason why you do it. And so
Right.
what are some of the things that you like and why do you like those?
Well, I love anything that brings the community together, especially the downtown events, whether it's Saturday Market, Harvest Fest. I know Eagle Fun Days is a huge draw for thousands and thousands, even outside our community. I'm not much for getting wet, but at my age, but last year it was fun to ride in the parade, and I just love seeing the smiling faces and happy residents and visitors to our city.
Thank you for joining us on our Explore Eagle podcast. I hope you will subscribe and listen to our Explore Eagle podcast so you can hear how Eagle is life done right. In the meantime, you can check out our website at cityofeagle.org or app Explore Eagle, available for free at the Apple App Store or Google Play.